Welcome back to the next episode of Remembering America 250. I'm your host, Matthew Hebebrand. Today we commemorate the 250th anniversary of the Battle of Bunker Hill. This would be the bloodiest confrontation between the British and Patriot soldiers thus far, and was the first indication that this was a conflict that would not be resolved easily. At this point, both the British and Patriot forces believed that one big, decisive battle would settle things between them. The Patriots hoped such a battle would lead to a negotiated settlement, and the British believed such a battle would snuff out the rebellion. But both sides lacked the men, munitions, and provisions to knock their opponents out. The British, trapped in the city of Boston, looked to the Charleston Peninsula, shown here, as easy ground to expand their area of control and deprive the Patriots of prime siege positions. The area had not yet been fortified by the Patriots, but word got out that the British were planning to seize it on June 18, 1775. So, on the evening of June 16th, the Boston Committee of Safety ordered that Bunker Hill on the Charlestown Peninsula be fortified, and Colonel William Prescott led over 1,000 men into the peninsula. But rather than fortify Bunker Hill here, Prescott led his men further south towards Breed's Hill, which was not as elevated or as primed as a defensive position as Bunker Hill was, but it overlooked Charlestown and the city of Boston below. But that view worked both ways, and as the sun rose the morning of June 17th, the British saw the Patriots fortifying the hill. The British Navy began a bombardment of Charlestown. Thomas Knowlton, a Connecticut militia captain who would become our first leader of military intelligence, ordered his men to fortify a livestock fence that ran about from Breed's Hill nearly all the way to the Mystic River. By 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Charlestown was nearly completely incinerated from the British naval bombardment, and over 2,000 British regulars stormed the peninsula in two columns, one under Brigadier Piggott, one under Major General Howe. Prescott ordered his men to aim at the handsome coats, meaning the British officers, as the British stormed the Patriot fortifications. A bloodbath ensued, particularly among Major General Howe's men here. But Howe was reinforced by at least 500 additional men, and he sent them to support Piggott. Reinforcements were ordered on the Patriot side as well, but they were not as orderly and arrived on foot in a rather piecemeal fashion compared to the British regulars incoming across the Charles River by boat. The British ultimately managed to take Breed's Hill, which secured for them a nominal victory. Outflanked on their right, the Patriot forces began to retreat at 5:30 in the evening, but they vowed to send as many British to the grave as they did so. At the end of the day, the Patriots had decimated over 40% of the British force. 226 British men were killed, including 19 officers. An additional 766 British soldiers were wounded, and 62 officers were wounded. The Americans, in comparison, had lost 115 killed, 205 wounded, and 30 captured. Charleston was destroyed, and the peninsula was lost, but the Americans still controlled Roxbury and Dorchester Heights beyond the peninsula. The Americans may not have been as organized or as well armed as the British, but they showed the British their willingness to fight and that they knew how to employ lethal force. Thank you for watching. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And until next time, God bless you and God bless America.